Hey, I'm golf broadcaster Matt Adams. The updated and expanded second edition of my book, The Golf Round I'll Never Forget, Golf's Biggest Stars Recall Their Finest Moments, is now available. Readers can expect to march with Arnie's Army at the 1960 U.S. Open, relive Jack Nicklaus's remarkable 1986 Masters win, and be amazed by the Tiger Slam. The Golf Round I'll Never Forget, Golf's Biggest Stars Recall Their Finest Moments. Pick it up where fine books sold, including BarnesandNoble.com and Amazon.com.
This day in sports history. It's March 8th, and on this day in 1930, Babe Ruth signed the world's biggest sports contract and had one of the all-time great responses to a reporter's question. Ruth had just turned 35 a month before and was coming off a year where he hit .345 with a league-leading 46 home runs. It was the fourth straight year he had led the league in that category, and that closed out his contract, where he was making $70,000 a year. But here in 1930, not even 6 months past the Wall Street crash that plunged the nation and subsequently the world into what would become known as the Great Depression, where unemployment would surge to about 25% at its height, and wages would fall by more than 40% by 1933, Ruth held out for a pay increase. But the thing is, he was worth it, and New York Yankees owner Jacob Ruppert knew it. Since bringing Ruth over from the Red Sox, he had led the league in home runs 8 times, led the Yankees to 3 World Series titles, and made the team into a popular and profitable one after being considered also-rans before he got there. Also, remember that professional ball players didn't have a lot of bargaining power on their side other than holding out during contract negotiation. Free agency would not exist for another 40 years. And so, on this day, Ruppert and Ruth sat down and put ink to paper on a 2-year, $160,000 contract, paying him $80,000 per year, making him the richest athlete on the planet. Yankees general manager Ed Barrow said, "Nobody will ever be paid more than Ruth," which, of course, is laughable now, but at the time seemed about right. Consider that 5 years later, Barrow would sign Lou Gehrig's 2-year contract extension with the Yankees for just $31,000 per year after he won the American League Triple Crown. It was not until Joe DiMaggio's 1949 contract for $100,000 a year that Barrow would be proved wrong. But back to Ruth. After signing his name to the contract, he was asked by a reporter why he should be paid more than President Herbert Hoover, whose salary at the time was $75,000 per year, to which Ruth famously replied, "Why not? I had a better year than he did." Ruth would go on to prove his worth, leading the league in homers and walks for the 2 years of his contract while providing some much-needed entertainment for a country mired in an economic morass. Understanding the optics and the economic situation the country was in, he would take a pay cut the next time around in 1932. Also on this day, in 1971, it was the fight of the century as Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier fought in Madison Square Garden. It was the first title fight in history that featured 2 undefeated boxers who had been or were champions. Ali had been stripped of his titles because of his refusal to enter the draft to fight in Vietnam. Frazier was the heavyweight champ who stepped into that void of Ali's vacated belts with wins over Buster Mathis and Jimmy Ellis. In front of a sold-out crowd of more than 20,000 at the Garden and millions more watching on closed-circuit screens all over the globe, this fight lived up to its billing. It went the full 15 rounds, with Frazier winning in a unanimous decision. And in 1936, the first automobile race in Daytona was run, with cars driving on a 3-mile-long beach and road course. It was fairly chaotic, with passing nearly impossible in the beachy turns, scoring issues leading to disputes, and the economic loss for the city of Daytona of more than $20,000, which, again, here in the Depression, was a tough pill to swallow. The race was stopped after 75 laps, though it was slated to go 78. Milt Marion was declared the first winner, though that was disputed by the guys who finished second and third. The man who finished fifth that day was Bill France Sr., the man who would assume control of the race 2 years later and then go on to create NASCAR in 1948. And today's non-sports weird fact. Nutmeg is a hallucinogen. It takes a lot, but it is. But, just take our word for it. Don't try that at home or anything. That's all for today. I'll have more tomorrow on This Day in Sports History. This has been an original Thrive Suite production.
Hey there, sports history fan. This is Arnie Chapman, a.k.a. the Football History Dude, and I hope that you enjoyed this recent episode presented by the Sports History Network and were able to learn some good old-fashioned sports history knowledge nuggets. I started the Sports History Network back in 2020 with the mission to help podcasters find a community of like-minded sports history nerds, as well as helping aspiring podcasters to start their own shows. We have a little bit over 30 shows on the network right now covering all sorts of sports history, but as far as I'm concerned, we're just at the toothpick in the ocean moment, that can't even figure it out because there's so much more coming. We wanted to create the ultimate headquarters for sports yesteryear, starting with Podcast Network and our website, but we're going to continue to move into other mediums as well. And here's the cool part, because we want you to be part of our team. So if you're interested in starting your own podcast, or maybe being a guest on one of our shows, or who knows, maybe even writing an article for us over on the website. Seriously, all you gotta do is reach out to us on the contact page over at sportshistorynetwork.com. You can be as technologically savvy as a Neanderthal tapping on a stone trying to figure out this whole hieroglyphics thing back in the day. Again, it doesn't matter, because even if you don't understand the whole podcast space, we have a production team that can pretty much help you out with doing everything. All you gotta do, head over to sportshistorynetwork.com, head to the contact page, fill it out. That message goes right to me, and I'll reach out to you as soon as I can. But for now, dude, I'm through if you're through.